Hello guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to look at a video from Hera. This one is called "These balance changes would make AV2 way better." So I uploaded this. People have been asking me for my opinion. So I figured, talk. I'm not going to redo this. I figured might as well have a look and give our opinion on whether we agree or disagree with his takes. And if we're lucky, we can call him stupid sometimes. So let's hope.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the video. Today I'm going to be doing some balance talk and some balance discussion with you guys. In fact, I'm going to be giving you guys my balance suggestions, my obvious balance suggestions to make Age of Empires 2 a much better place and a much better game with varied strategies. My opinion
He wants to make Age of Empires 2 a much better place. Let's go.
when it comes to balance is that we should have as many viable strats as possible, as much unit variance as possible, and when a civ is good at something, let it be good at that thing.
Right now, he said, listen, he said he wants as much variation as possible, as many units, like, he just wants variation, right? So, he surely will suggest that Light Cav and Hussar should be nerfed, right? Let's find out.
Let's make the civilizations feel different and feel fun to play in their own right. Let's not just make every civilization a generic archer, infantry, or cavalry civ, because that is how we end up with a stale game. I also don't like when one strategy is clearly better than other strategies, and I'd love for a variety of units and strategies to see play. I am all for variety, and that is
so far I agree.
what I'm going to be hoping to get with my balance changes. I'm going to go through them pretty fast, and we're going to have no editing for this video. If you guys would like to see editing for this kind of style in the future, and if this video does well, I might do this monthly series.
By the way, my video that you're watching right now, me reacting to him, will also not have any editing, just...
And we'll throw in some editing as well if you guys think it's better. Also,
we won't.
This as open discussions. So if you guys agree or disagree with my takes, definitely let me know. But we're going to go through this one at a time.
I will let you know.
Start with my general changes here. I'm just trying to find a way to do this. There we go. All right, I'm going to put it on a notepad on.
I thought I was going to watch like a beautiful video edited like step by step. Oh, this change will be good. This change. It's just him with his notepad. Like, come on. This is not what I was expecting.
The screen right now. And see if I can make this a little bit better. Aha, there we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, so here are my general changes. Now, I've put this here for context so you guys can watch along. But basically, the militia line is currently way too slow. And it's by far the unit line, the main unit line, that sees the least play in early game with men-at-arm, drush, and all those like early infantry strategies, all the way to late game with champion. They barely see play. And this is after we gave them gambesons, after we made the upgrades take less time to come in. And so despite all this, we still don't see a lot of infantry.
If you give infantry 0.92 speed, Dravidians will be OP.
So the question has to be asked, why is that the case? And I've come to the conclusion after a lot of thought, to be honest, that it's just the movement speed that is the problem. Take a look at this. Archers, skirms, and hand cannoneer move at 0.96. Eagle Scout moves at 1.3 up to 1.1 up to 1.3 with upgrades. Pikemen or Spearmen is at 1. Militia is at 0.9 and Villagers at 0.8. So Militia is only faster than a Villager. That's it. Everything else is faster. And obviously when Squires comes in, this becomes 0.99.
How fast is a Monk?
Making them faster than the Archer line. But they're not that much faster, and they still die in Castle Age, even with Squires. So, it's not that...
The thing with Militia, though, is like they don't feel faster than Archers and Skirms, despite on paper being faster with Squires, because Archers micro backwards. Infantry stand still and hit. So the infantry will catch up, they will hit, but the archers are continuously microing backwards. Meaning that despite being 0.03 speed faster with Squires, it still feels like you're not that much faster. So let's continue.
Strong of an upgrade to where the relationship changes once Squires comes in. Not really. It's still like Archers and hand cannoneer hard countering the militia line.
And not every city has Squires.
So my proposition is to give the militia line a speed increase of 0.9 to 0.92. 0.02 doesn't sound like a lot, but let's take a look at how this affects the game in a practical sense. This makes them faster at chasing down villagers and potentially at blocking villagers, which is a good thing. Militia and men-at-arms should feel like an early threat that you can't just quick wall because you see them coming a mile away. A little
What?
bit faster speed can help make Militia Men-at-Arms more aggressive in the early game. It also can help them chase down archers a little bit. So if archers are chasing you, you can turn around and get some hits if they get too close. And if the archer's chasing you from really far, you could run away and at least cover some decent distance before the archer can get some hits.
What is the movement speed of Celts militia? Celts men-at-arms. They move 10%. Is it 10% or 15% faster? In fuel is 15% more. Okay, so 15% faster is still way faster than any of these changes would turn a militia with squires. So think about it. Are Celts men-at-arms viable or good? Not really. So personally, so far I would say I don't think this tiny change would do anything. It would not change the meta. It would not make the unit more viable. It would not change the way the unit engages. It would not change how it would not make it harder for archers to kill it. I feel like it would change probably nothing about the game.
This also makes it so if you're a civilization that relies heavily on your infantry, you might still get countered by one archer, but you're not going to lose so much HP as they chase you down back home. You'll lose a little bit of HP, but then you can follow up with your own range units and keep
It's
your men-at-arms more or less
0.02.
healthy. It also makes it so you can move a little bit faster and potentially deal with some spearmen that are at a 1 movement speed. You can maybe get a couple extra hits if they come too close. And in general, it makes it a little bit more of a well-rounded unit. Going into the late game with champions, with squires now in, so it's 0.99 right now, it'll become, let's say, 1.01 or 1.02, something like that. And that will make you considerably faster than an arbalest and hand cannoneer. Therefore, if the guy has 3 or 4 hand cannoneer, you got 20 champions, you could chase him down. It's not like the hand cannoneer is way stronger.
It's still slower than a current Celt champion, and Celt champion do not feel OP or like great in any way.
Than the champions, and will hard counter them completely. The champions in enough number should be able to pose a little bit of a threat, at least to the defending player. And I'm all for champion being a little bit better than it currently is. And I don't think that is a big change, and I'd love to see it. For me, it's an obvious one. Should have been done years ago.
So to summary there, I mean, I agree. I don't think that adding a 0.02 speed to militia line is a bad thing, but I also don't think it changes anything either at the same time, right? So if we want militia line to be more viable, it has to be more dramatic than that, or there has to be even more different types of changes. You could even argue that. Actually, no, I'm not sure how to fix them. Militia still have their place in the game, right? There is still men-at-arms in the opening, can still be pretty good. You still have champions as a counter to Eagle Warriors. You have certain civs that have really good champions right now, like Armenians, for example. You still see them use champions as a meat shield with 100 HP, right? There's a lot of ways to utilize the units. Like Goth will still make champions no matter what, because it's just so cheap and effective. That's also the balance where it's like you cannot give them too many positive benefits, because suddenly the unit can become OP for certain civs and so forth. I don't mind this change, but again, I don't think it would change anything right now.
Next up, we have Crossbow and Arbalest upgrade.
I see someone in my chat suggested maybe lowering their attack animation. That would be something that could make chasing down units less of a tedious task and make them get more hits in, rather than just a speed increase. It's an option.
Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these numbers. Now, this does this look familiar, first of all? This is the number of the Crossbow upgrade when DE came out. This is the Arbalest upgrade when DE came out. When the infamous Archer nerf came in, we put the Crossbow upgrade to this number and the Arbalest upgrade to this number. Let's analyze this. Plus 50 food, plus 50 gold, plus 100 food, plus 100 gold. So 100 total resources for the Expo upgrade and 200 extra resources for the Arbalest upgrade. This pushed archers way out of the meta, and although archers are still more or less viable, there are some strategies that got completely destroyed by this change.
Well,
the first strategy that got destroyed is the Drush Fast Castle. It's completely dead now because it's simply too expensive to get Crossbow upgrade, and you can't afford it. Before you could, now you can't. And I think Drush FC was too strong before for a variety of reasons, but nowadays we never see it. And Drush was only a scary strategy because you can either Drush into Fast Feudal or Drush into Fast Castle. And when you're getting Drushed, you don't know what your opponent's going for. Therefore, you're a little bit under some stress. You have to go scout, see what he's planning. Now, you can't drush fast castle with explosives. So if he's drushing, it's gonna be a drush into fast feudal. So I just go fast feudal and I don't have to worry about anything. And that's why Raid meta is super stale with fast feudal. I basically won KOTD going 18 pop every single game without even thinking about making militia, and I had a clear head going to feudal, knowing nothing can really hurt me.
There is more context here to that point. The drush fast castle has been dead for a long time because of how much, like, they've made maps in general more open, more harder to wall. They've made walls and buildings a lot weaker. They take more damage and so forth. There's a lot of things like walls. Drush fast castle walling was way too strong many years ago. They've made continuous changes to walls and HP of buildings and armor to buildings over years that eventually led to a point now where we have settled and Drush fast castle is just not viable anymore. I don't think it's purely due to the crossbow cost change. It was a nail in a coffin, you can argue that for sure. It is very expensive, but we don't see anyone going drush fast castle cav archers anymore either, right? That used to be meta as well. Hunts would go drush fast castle triple 4 range cav archer. Why is that not still happening then? If it was just the crossbow nerf that was the reason drush fast castle didn't happen anymore. People used to go drush fast castle knights. No one does that anymore, right? Every single drush fast castle strategy is gone. There is not only drush fast castle crossbow, right? So there's more context here, is my point. Not only the fact that crossbow upgrade got more expensive.
And this is indeed a pretty big problem. We like the variety, and I think cutting the nerf in half is the right way to go. So we say 150 and 100 for the X-Bow upgrade instead of this number. So it went from this number plus 100 resources and now minus 50. So now it's just going to be plus 50 resources compared to the original one. So an extra 25 food, an extra 25 gold compared to the initial price.
I also want to add to that we now have a lot more stronger civs in early game, right? We have civs with amazing early game bonuses that just lead so well into aggression with good economy behind. Back then, when Drushfest Castle was the meta, or a very popular thing, we didn't have 40 civilizations where 15 of them have amazing openings. We had like 3 or 4 civs that had good openings that could maybe deal with the Drushfast Castle by going feudal age. Now that's not the case anymore. We have now 15 civs with amazing openings, amazing economies, amazing adaptation to in terms of strategic options and so forth. So yeah, there's more.
And then same thing with Arbalest. We cut the nerf in half. It went from 200 resources nerf. Let's make it just a 100 resources nerf. And I think that'll be a little bit more fair. But because I don't like to make big changes and I hate double buffs or double nerfs, it absolutely pisses me off because it goes from a unit being strong to a unit being useless, or a unit being useless to a unit being overpowered. I hate that. Let's start with just one. Let's start with the X-Bow upgrade, see if that helps a little bit, get archers back in the meta. And if it does, then it's fine. Keep the Arbalest at this upgrade. All right? And if it doesn't and the X-Bows still need a bit more, then put it back here. It's unlikely if we make this change that X-Bows will suddenly be broken. That this is good. We don't want X-Bow to be broken, and we need X-Bow to be viable. So this is, in my opinion, the one general change that has to happen. We start with just one, and everyone is happy. Moving on to the next one.
All right, another thing to add here, of course, he is not touching on that topic at all. I'm not sure why he's not bringing that up. Another reason why Crossbow Arbalest is a bit underutilized at the moment, it is obviously due to the pathing, right? The pathing the last few months for range units has been absolutely atrocious. There's no hiding from that. It's just straight up the reason. That's why we don't see any crossbow or heavy archer play actively, especially in S tier tournaments. It's just so risky because you don't know what to expect from a unit, right? Oh, I clicked there, I expect them to go there. Oh wait, they just suddenly went back and took a detour there. It also makes the frustration with crossbow play more. But that said, I don't disagree necessarily. I also think the change may have been dramatic, but also I don't think we even need to be this dramatic or make this big of a change even. I think even, let's say, Crossbow, let's do 150 food, 125 gold. A simple 25 less food cost. Because I still need to see the game again. I have forgotten how the game plays with this pathing, right? I still need to see the game again with the pathing being fixed to know how I feel about archers again. Because it's been so long, honestly, that I just don't remember anymore. But yeah, again, I don't think any of these changes either are bad. I think both of these changes would have been completely fine to try. It's just what it is. But I think we could even do less dramatic. Like we do, let's say crossbow, we make it 150 food, 125 gold. That would be like a slight change that would probably also be fine.
I showed you guys two there. We have towers costing less wood. Currently, they're at 50 wood and 125 stone. I suggest we make them 25 wood and 125 stone. This is my reasoning. This was actually the original cost of the tower before Definitive Edition. It got nerfed because towers were a bit too, broken. But the reason towers were really strong before is because they had the full HP in Feudal Age. Now they have less HP and they get back their HP in Castle Age. And this is, of course, the Watchtower. When you upgrade Guard Tower, they get extra HP. So the Watchtower has less HP now in Feudal Age than it did in the past. But of course, we had to double nerf the tower because double nerfs are clearly great for the game. So we made it from towers being strong to towers costing more and then towers having less HP in Feudal. The double nerf took towers completely out of the meta. Hera, why is it scouts and archers every game in Arabia? Let's think for a second. Because nothing else works. Because the tower is way too expensive. The flank makes a tower. Oh, goodbye. Enjoy the tower, buddy. Take care. Go into your pocket. He has to make a tower. He is dead. Go to the next guy. Scouts and archers, baby. Wins every time. This is why. Because we double nerfed the tower. Let's bring back the cost to 25 wood. I highly doubt it's going to be problematic. The tower still has less HP in Feudal Age. And let's be honest. If you're attacking with a tower rush and you have cheaper towers, the guy defending can have cheaper towers as well. He just has to, invest into making more towers. Now when I get tower rushed, I let the guy make towers. They're so expensive. I'm just making army and I'm counterattacking. And it's so easy every time I win against tower rush. Can't remember the last time I lost with tower rush. Actually, just kidding. It was an NAC. That's okay. That's my fault. But yeah, I think this small buff to towers can be really good and can potentially bring them back in the team game meta a little bit as well. Next up, we've got Step Lancers.
Does he really want Lix to become the best team game player in the world? I don't know about this. Alright, I have some context I want to add to why I'm scared to make changes to towers. First, we have others, like back in the day when towers got nerfed, it was because Koreans were ridiculously broken, building towers faster, more stone income, this forth. You had Spanish, faster building towers, blah blah blah. Teutons, 10 vills in the towers, blah 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 blah. And Teutons already have a wood discount, right? This would give them even more of a wood discount on farming. They have this wood discount on farming, which would make it way easier to farm up behind the tower rush. This would make it even better. So Teutons tower rushes will be absolutely horrible to deal with again. Secondly, we also have now a new civ like Poles, for example. Poles take gold and stone at the same time. So this would also be a serious buff to a civ like Poles. Another civ, Sicilians. How do we balance Sicilians? They have donjons. Donjons are more expensive on stone. They cost 75 wood right now. Do we lower the wood for a donjon to 50 or 25? There's a lot of other things that have to be aligned together with the whole tower cost change in that case. Now, I'm not saying that towers are too good right now. I don't think so at all. I would be fine with them getting a bit of a buff again. But here as well, I would be like, what about the middle ground? Maybe make it 35 wood, right? Why go back to the original cost that was deemed way too cheap back then? Of course, again, yeah, a lot of things have changed, as we have Heart in chat here saying as well. Maps are more volatile. Arabia and maps these days are way more balanced and safe compared to the past. Why don't we go to a middle ground here? Like I could see 35 wood, 45 wood, 35 to 40 wood as a starting point, and then you can make the donjon maybe 50, 60 wood or 50 wood, whatever, right? There's a lot of things to take into account here. I absolutely hated the tower meta back in the day, and I was so glad they made changes to it. But yeah, they did make maybe too many changes, and again, they have to be very careful with touching towers, because towers can be not very pleasant in the games from many ways. But as I said, I don't want to revert it back to 25 wood, but I would be fine trying maybe 35, 40, something like that.
Now, there's a strategy, the Mongol FC Step Lancer, that's really broken and super cheesy, and I want to nerf it a little bit. I also think Step Lancers are not broken in like mid-late game. I think they're just broken in early castle. So I suggest a small increase of their gold cost, making it a little bit harder to do those cheesy fast castle strategies. This will basically have no impact on Step Lancer in like mid game. This is just to nerf the early game strategies, and it will barely do that. But I think it's reasonable to put 1 or 2 less Step Lancers on the field, or at least make it harder to afford the first like 6 Step Lancers, if that makes sense.
Step Lancers are also a tricky topic because right now there's only 3 civs with Step Lancer. Mongols, Cumans, Tatars, right? I know there's been talk about, like, people have been suggesting give like Hun Step Lancers, for example, right? If they want to spread Step Lancers to multiple civs, I would also agree that probably needs a little bit of change in that regard. But the reason Step Lancers feel broken, the only reason they feel broken right now is due to Mongols, in some cases, right? How often do you see Cumans or Tatars go Lancers, heavily Lancers, right? Never. Why do you see Mongols go heavy Lancers in the opening? Because they have such a timing advantage with the faster food income, and they get extra HP on the Lancers due to their civ bonus. So it's the Mongol Lancers that are a problem. Step Lancers are not a problem. This will make Step Lancers I mean, it's only 5+ gold, you could argue that, so it's still not too heavy of a change. But it's gonna discourage Lancers even more for a civ like Tatars and Cumans. Do we want to do that? The only reason Lancers are a problem right now is due to Mongols. It's simple as that. So I'm not sure if I agree with this.
Again, a small nerf, but I'm the kind of guy that likes the small nerfs and small changes at a time. And I think that's it for my general changes, actually. Yep, that's it for my general changes. Let's move on to my Civ-specific changes now. Starting off with the Bulgarians. It's no surprise that the Bulgarians are pretty bad right now. In fact, they're super out of the meta. But hey, on the list, we're actually going to be buffing infantry. So, well, buffing infantry, Bulgarians gets a small buff, but let's give them a little bit more, just a little bit. Let's make their TCs costing 50 stone and make that 25 stone. The practical application is that Bulgarians can make a tower in Feudal Age, either forward or defensively, and can still afford 3 TCs in Castle Age. Also, for those wondering, oh, we can't have a building that shoots arrows when garrisoned that doesn't cost any stone, Hera. Are you crazy? Yeah, I'm crazy. The fortified church is literally that. So I don't want to hear it, guys. 25 stone TCs are not broken, and I highly doubt it's going to be more broken than the fortified church, which costs 0 and lets you produce monks. Let's be real here, and let's think about the game holistically. This is a small buff to Bulgarians, which can make them a little bit stronger in the mid game as well, allowing them to spam TCs at low cost, helping their late game out a little bit against raids. I like it. It's a small change that can help out.
I'm not sure if I'm a fan. I mean, we have Britons with like Britons have the cheaper wood townsends, right? And it doesn't feel incredibly broken. However, Bulgarian's thesis 50 stone to 25 stone. I don't think it would do anything. You can make a tower and afford 3 town centers still, which is pretty strong. But also it's like then you have 25 more stone to make a crepost. Is that a good thing? I'm not sure, because crepos are already pretty damn sick. So you want to give Bulgarians more stone for free? I'm not sure if I like the idea of that. Yeah, I just don't think it's necessary. I think the 50 stone TC discount is already such a strong bonus. So it's still like, why? I don't think it matters to give them lower. I would rather change the civ in the other way if we wanted to buff Bulgarians. But again, like, I want to emphasize, like, I think I've disagreed with a lot of the changes there. It sounds like I'm disagreeing. I don't think that any of the changes Hera has suggested so far have been like dramatic or like, oh, this will be bad for the game. It's just some of the changes I feel like, I don't think this would impact the game much, so why do it? That's more in the boat where I am.
Next, we have Georgian's Manaspa. It's a little bit too strong right now, but since it's a new civ, I don't want to hard nerf it. I suggest we take off 1 melee armor, taking them from 5 melee armor to just 4, which is still pretty good, and let them take longer to produce. I don't have a number for this because I don't know how much longer, but I think like 3 to 4 seconds each Manaspa.
I think they're 11 seconds right now.
Is a reasonable nerf. Manaspas obviously need to be massed, so they can't take too long to produce, or else the unit is useless. It's a unit that gets better when you have more around it, so it gets more attack. So I suggest we nerf them a little bit and make them a little bit like weaker against Halbs and other Paladin, but we make them take a little bit longer to produce, so it's not as oppressive. And I think the unit would fare pretty well after these changes. So a small double nerf, but a very small double nerf, not a big double nerf. I think this is reasonable. And if it's too much, start with one or the other, no problem.
This double nerf is fine because it's a small double nerf. Yeah, he was very much against double nerfing earlier, and now he suggested a double nerf, which is a bit funny. But again, it's like I agree 100% though with this one. Like Monaspa are just in numbers now incredibly broken. -1 melee armor won't change the unit too much. It will still be very good. It has a little bit low HP, right? But still, melee fights is already where it shines. So -1 melee armor, they will still shine in melee combat. So yeah, and then they produce right now, I think, in 11 seconds, which is incredibly fast for a unique unit of this standard. So yeah, give them 2 or 3 seconds more production time. -1 melee armor. 100% agree. 100% agree.
All right, Huns. They get Step Lancer. And yeah, this is a pretty big one, but they don't get the elite upgrade. But they get the Step Lancer at the same discount of their Cav Archers. Boom! Now that makes Huns exciting. I might pick Huns after this. That sounds, look at this. More options, viable options, not broken because it doesn't scale.
What's the discount on Huns couches right now? Is it 20%? Is it more? Even 25, 15? So it's 10% in Castle and 20% in Imp. 10% in Castle and 15% in Imp. So you want 10% discounted Lancers for Huns with a faster producing stable. I imagine, I mean, hey, another double nerf. No, that's not a nerf, that's a buff. I'm stupid. Too bad this video won't have editing. I would have liked to remove that part. So they get Lancers with no elite upgrade. I don't see a problem here. That would be fine by me. I'm not sure if I would have wanted them to have the discount. I guess in the end, it's not a big deal. I think this would be fine, yeah.
Scale well. I really like this. So I think this, combined with this nerf, maybe you can even make this 10 gold, would make Step Lancers for Mongols weaker, and Step Lancers overall weaker with the cheesy strategies, but give Huns a pretty reasonable option in the mid game to spice them up a little bit. This could.
How much gold is a Lancer right now? Is it 40? I think it's 40, right? If you make a Lancer 50 gold, they're just like, you'd rather spend 25 extra gold for a knight, and very often. Keep in mind, the Lancer is more expensive on food than a knight. It costs 10 more food than a knight. And yeah, like I said, I agree. Or like what I agree with myself. Like I said, I think Lancers are only a problem right now with Mongols because of the timing advantages Mongols have otherwise and the HP bonus Mongols have. Yeah, in my opinion.
Could be interesting. Huns don't get camo, so giving them Step Lancer makes their stable a little bit more viable. And honestly, remove the horse and nomad. It's terrible. It's so cheesy. Like, what is even that? Like, come on. All right.
Great argument for the horse removal in nomad, by the way. I haven't played a single nomad game yet with the Huns horse, so I don't really have an opinion on this. If it's able to pick up sheep, I think it's probably too broken. I think if it's not able to pick up sheep, I don't see why it's necessarily a problem. It is incredibly good though. And Nomad already, like Huns already have a nerfed start on Nomad, which is with the less wood. So I think the horse helps that, but of course in team games, I think it's incredibly good because you have shared vision already, and then the horse can go and find all the opponents and everything. And like I said, if it can collect sheep, I think it's a problem, which chat is confirming it can collect sheep. I think if it doesn't collect sheep, I think it should be fine, right? It's just one gimmick on Nomad for one civilization, and it's a Dark Age gimmick that isn't like massive in terms of like, it doesn't kill anything, it just gets information. I think that's fine.
Sicilians. Dungeon can be made in Dark Age, but shoots no arrows.
With that said, I would also be fine with on Nomad Huns getting maybe a little bit extra wood, like someone in chat is suggesting, and removing the horse. We don't need the horse, right? It's still, it's really hard to balance one civ suddenly having a horse and can scout and figure out everything about the map, so you can always make the decisions accordingly. I haven't played Nomad though with the horse yet, so again, I will hold my judgment on that a little bit.
This lets you actually.
So cheesy.
Sicilians. Dungeon can be made in Dark Age, but shoots no arrows. This lets you actually use the dungeon bonus that counts as a barracks. Now, if you go up in a pro game and you want to make a donjon first, which takes forever, then you want to make a stable, you're dead. I thought it'd be decent at first. It's terrible. You don't have time. And half the time you just die before your donjon even comes up. It takes so long to make. Let us make the donjon in Dark Age. We can make it with 1 vil. Then when you get to feudal, we can drop the stable right away. And our donjon can act as a tower because it shoots arrows and lets us make spearmen and sergeants. And this can also buff the donjon rush a little bit, letting you make the donjon in Dark Age and then get the units out in Feudal Age and let it shoot arrows in Feudal Age. So this is a very unique bonus to the Sicilians that makes them a little bit better. If this makes the U-putting rush too strong, nerf the sergeants in Castle Age a little bit. That's it. And then give them back the stats in the elite upgrade. So don't make the Civ cheesy, make it versatile. That's what I'm for. And then land units receive 40% less damage. This is currently at 33%, so I'll do this. So from 33 to 40%. When this first came out, it was at 50%. Let's put it in the middle, and that should be the sweet spot.
Double buff? No double nerf, but double buff?
I think that would make Sicilians a little bit better. They're currently kind of garbage. And I think that's it for my list. Indeed.
All right, dungeons. Again, I'm not sure if he's already calculating in here like the wood discount on the towers, right? If you're gonna make small buffs though, Kappa, if you're gonna make towers 25 wood again, the dungeon has to follow along with that. You cannot have a dungeon be 75 wood and then make towers 25 wood. Often the only way to counter a tower as Sicilians is to build your own dungeon. You cannot have that big of a disparity. As Jordan would say, discrepancy. That much of a no, I can't say the word myself. Discrepancy. That's the word. Disparity between the regular towers for every other civ and the dungeon for Sicilians. So my concern here would be if dungeons are also cheaper on wood and can be built in Dark Age. He said make the civ not cheesy, give it options. Yes, I don't mind it, but I also think there could be a problem here, and you could take stone. And you could build like, you could try to sneak up a dungeon forward on the wood. It's super gimmicky and YOLO play, right? I would actually love to do masterpieces like this. You already pre-build dungeons in Dark Age behind his wood line or on his gold, and then you hit Feudal Age, bam, you have 2 dungeons, right? It is obviously a very YOLO play, and I can see that being frustrating sometimes when it works out. But yeah, I'm actually not opposed to the whole dungeon being in Dark Age. I don't think they should build fast though, they should build fairly slow. I would be scared, like, let's say you already get a dungeon up in Dark Age. Now, you should not be able to make sergeants in Dark Age. No, 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 no. And then, yeah, let's say you get a forward dungeon, and you hit Feudal Age, and the dungeon is up and shoots arrow immediately, and you're on his mill, for example, right? You take him off the bears. He cannot then suddenly rush your tower, your dungeon with villagers. Because you can even produce sergeants immediately in Feudal Age. There are potentially problems that trickles from this, if this would be possible. But again, like, it would still be a very high risk, high reward type of approaches. But again, I would have to wait and see what happens with towers in order to also adjust what's going to happen to dungeons. But I do agree that the dungeon right now, as a prerequisite for range and stable, essentially the dungeon also works as a barracks. I think the dungeon would be okay. Maybe you should give like squires and arson as upgrades in the dungeon even. Just so you can justify playing spearmen from the dungeon without having to build your own barracks. But as well, it's very hard to balance the dungeon because it's such a unique thing. You can make sergeants from it. The U-putting rush from the dungeon is insane. Like, Sicilians is the only civ that has such a strong unit that just pops immediately upon hitting Castle Age. Eagles get stronger, but you have to still upgrade Eagle Warrior. Sergeants just get like an immediate massive jump. I guess you could argue like Gojara camels as well, maybe, because they become camels, like they go from camel scout to camel, regular camel without upgrades as well. It's a very hard thing to balance. I'm talking too long about the dungeon now, but I think it's a really hard thing to figure out. I could see the land units receive 33% to 40% being okay. Dungeon in Dark Age sounds interesting, but it would have to be really carefully adjusted in that case, in my opinion.
A little bit better. They're currently kind of garbage. And I think that's it for my list. Indeed, it is. Civilizations I left out. Persian Savar could be too strong. I left it out for now. And I think Celts could be a little too weak, but I left them out for now because I think the infantry changes can really help out Celts. And that's going to be it for my list, guys. Let me know what you guys think. This is a very conservative list, to be honest. I didn't go anything crazy. These are really obvious changes that can help make the game more fun and more balanced. And I have some hot takes, but I left them out of the video. Maybe I'll give you guys one. Like have from 7 attack to 6. You guys feast on that one. I'll let you guys enjoy that one in the comment section.
Then again,
as a like have lover, I think that change makes a lot of sense, but we're not ready for that conversation yet. And I'm certainly not
ready
for
it.
All right, guys, take care. Let me know what you guys think about this list. And let me know if you guys want to see more videos like this. And let me know if you'd rather edited content instead of me looking at a notepad old style. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.
Yeah, I don't know if the 0.02 is going to help Celts that much, who already has like infantry speed boost. Light cav to 6 attack. The thing is, light cav are primarily still used as a slight raiding tool. I'm not sure if the 7 to 6 attack makes them kill vills slower. Maybe like 1 less hit. But light cav are still primarily used to kill monks, right? And 1 less attack is not going to change that. But yeah, I mean, you guys heard my opinion throughout this video. I think it's always fun to discuss balance changes, and it's also fun that people have different opinions, right? I don't necessarily agree with everything he said in here. I mean, like, not disagree necessarily, but I think a lot of things he suggested don't make a big difference. So I would be fine if all these changes were implemented. There would only be like 1 or 2 I would be like, I don't agree with this. The others are like, oh, that's fine. Let's see how it plays out, right? Yeah, it is what it is. It's really hard to balance this game. There's so many civs. There's so many good... there's so many changes that can be made to see what happens, but sometimes that's also like... it backfires sometimes, right? I do generally speaking agree though with the double nerf thing. I don't think they should double nerf things. Just do one thing at a time. Slow and steady will end up where the unit should be, or the civ should be, or the bonus should be. So yeah, double nerfing, I agree. No go for me. He didn't say anything about the pathing. I think pathing is a different issue, right? He's purely talking about balance changes here. So it is what it is. This became a very long react video, but hopefully you guys enjoyed watching, and let me know what you guys think, if you agree or disagree with him, or agree or disagree with me, or have your own balance changes that you would suggest. Maybe we'll make our own list some point, what we think could be good for the game, and take it from there. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.